शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तनिवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवद्वर्यमा शन्नो इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
शन्नो मित्रः
सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽद्यमृताः सबभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया शृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासम् शरीरं मे विचर्षणम् जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरि विश्रुवम् ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पीतः श्रुतं मे गोपाय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिव कीर्तिं पृष्ठं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्वपवित्रो वाजिनीव समृतस्मि द्रविणं समर्चसं सुमेधा अमृतोषितः इति त्रिशङ्कोर्वेदानुवचनम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। आप्यायन्तु मम अङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमतो बलिमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्तु निराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मासु मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। वाङ् मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेति वेदस्य महानीस्तः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनादीतेन अहोरात्राणि सन्ददामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः भद्रं नो अभिवादयमनः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षरो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च तस्मै तब्रह्मदेवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
So it was good we did the quiz last week, a couple of give me an idea of some things. I think I find that many of them got it well. Some of you missed some portions of it and so on. So this gave me an idea of how to structure the teaching, spend maybe a little bit more time, because some of you missed it. So I'm anxious to make sure that it doesn't happen that much. And some of you are not here, so it's a mixed bag. I find that there's about 10 of you that got it fairly correctly, and so those are Krishna Ryan, Vita Skobliko, all the people sitting, Zarina Kaji, Srida
We didn't
Joysa.
copy.
What's that?
We didn't copy, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that. Srida Joysa, Gajananam, Archana Asthana. Is Archana here?
Thank you. Present, please.
Yeah, good. Ashish Asthana, Ram Mandalam, Vikram Sadagopan. How do you pronounce your last name?
Sadagopan.
Sadagopan. Is it Gopan or Gopan?
Gopan.
Gopan, Sadagopan, and Sucheta Nalamotu. So these are the 10 people that pretty much got it. But the rest of you, you got some portions of it correctly. Some missed a few things. So I made some comments on each one of you, and instead of my giving it to everyone, maybe I'll just leave it here, so you can just pick up your copies and so on and so forth. Anyway, so that's good. I think we might do that from time to time, just to. I think that when some topics are finished, then it will be good to do a kind of like a quiz or a test, even a home test also, so that you write it all out and we can. So because I think it's a matter of. I'm just teaching it slightly differently. I want to make sure that you all understand the basics of what we are doing. So So we will continue doing. So let's chant the first two verses of Mandukya. One which we have already done, and the second one. Both form a pair. And so as you will see that the first two verses form a pair, an important pair, and I think we should be able to go through both of them in a sequence, two portions of the same thought. That's why I decided not to spend a lot of time, otherwise I would have given you individual feedback on that. So it'll be important for us to just do both of the verses, maybe not completed, but most of them. So let's at least chant the first two verses. Om ityetadakshara idagum sarvam.
Om ityetadakshara idagum sarvam.
Tasya upavyakyanam.
Tasya upavyakyanam.
Bhutam bhavat bhavishyatiti.
Bhutam bhavat bhavishyati.
Sarvam omkara eva.
Sarvam omkara eva.
Yachanyat trikalatītam.
Yachanyat trikalatītam.
Tadapi omkara eva.
Tadapi omkara eva.
Let's do it one more time. Excuse me. Om ityetadakshara idagum sarvam.
Om ityetadakshara idagum sarvam.
Tasya upavyakyanam.
Tasya upavyakyanam.
Bhutam bhavat bhavishyatiti.
Bhutam bhavat bhavishyati.
Sarvam omkara eva.
Sarvam omkara eva.
Yachanyat trikalatītam.
Yachanyat trikalatītam.
Tadapi omkara eva.
Tadapi omkara eva.
Sarvagum etad brahmayam atma.
Sarvam etad brahmayam.
Brahma soyam atma chatushpat.
Brahma soyam atma chatushpat.
Sarvagum etad brahmayam atma.
Sarvam etad brahmayam atma.
Brahma soyam atma chatushpat.
Brahma soyam atma chatushpat.
So we began to see the meaning of the first verse last time. So listen to this sequence of both the verses carefully. There's a lot in it. It's a very important summary of our lives and our futures and so on and so forth. Om iti etad akshara idam sarvam. Tasya upavyakyanam. We've done this before, just a very quick revision. That what is Om, which is the name, which actually is both the content as well as the name. But it is the name of everything. And everything is nothing but Ishvara. So as we know very well, and we'll look into this in more detail later on, that the nature of creation is that both the material as well as the intelligent creation is Ishvara. Ishvara is both the the material cause as well as the intelligent cause, the creator as well as the created, both. We've seen this and this should be well understood. Usually you find that the creator is different from the material, but occasionally you find that both are the same. And the famous examples are that of the dream. So in the dream, you are the creator and you are also the created. And in the case of the spider, another example is given, where the intelligence of weaving a web is within the brain of the spider, and the material is also from the spit itself. It creates its own spit and creates a web. Remarkable how it is done. And then it actually brings it all back sometimes and recreates it, but eats some more stuff, creates more spits and so on. Anyway, so the creator and the created are the same. So similarly here also, Om ityetad aksharamidam sarvam means that the entire body of Ishvara, which is given as an experience to us, no matter what experience you have, and this will come in the Bhavat Bhavishyatiti in a minute. So the entire creation is nothing, is signified by Om. And Tasya Upabhyakhyanam means the description of this creation, which is in the form of a useful explanation. An explanation and a description which has some meaning to it. In other words, I was giving you the example that you find that there's a lot of explanations, a lot of detail, a lot of research done about things that don't really amount to anything. In the Shastra also, I gave the example of my nephew who is an ornithologist. And the Shastra also gives the same example, Kakadanta Pariksha. Kakadanta Pariksha means the examination of the nature of teeth of a crow. And it can be research. You can say that no one has ever really counted it. How many different, do they have a teeth or not? Or they have a beak? You know, you can do all of that. And you can conduct an inquiry that no one has done before. But the question is, what does it amount to? So here, Upabhyakhyanam. Upabhyakhyanam means it's not an ordinary Vyakhyanam, but so Vyakhyanam itself has Visheshena Khyanam. Khyanam means to talk about it, to discuss it intelligently. Visheshena Khyanam means with a lot of detail, completeness. Completeness. It's like a doctor that knows exactly what the details of the disease is, knows exactly what happens and how to fix it and so on. That is a Vishesh Vikhyana. And then if that happens to be ultimately useful for me, then that is the Upabhyakhyanam. So Tasya Upabhyakhyanam. Om iti etad aksharam sarvam tasya upabhyakhyanam. And so the title, not the title, but just a very brief, this is what we call a vritti. Remember that, for those of you that took the Taittiriya Upanishad. So there also we saw that there were three things. So one is Sutra Vakya. So Sutra Vakya means an aphorism, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That's called a Sutra Vakya. Then there is a Vritti Vakya. So Vritti Vakya means it's a kind of a semi-detail, but not a complete detail. Then comes Vyakhyana. So here, even though it says Tasya Upavyakhyanam, but it gives the Vritti Vakya, which is bhutam bhavat bhavishyatiti sarvam omkara eva. Yaccha anyat trikalartitam tadapi omkara eva. This is the Vrittiva. You can look at it as a Vrittiva. So what does it mean? It means that whatever happens in our life, in our experience, can be classified into 3 segments. The 3 segments are touched by the past time, continuously being touched by the present time, and to be touched by the future time. So, for example, stories about our grandparents and great-grandparents. Where did they come from? What happened to them? And what were their struggles? What were their times? This is the Bhutakala. Then the present time, what is happening now, including things that, in fact, this is the thing, they're all the mukhya, the main aspects of our life are in the present. What happens in the past is somewhat relevant, but it's not as important. And then comes the future. And the future means we're not sure of it, but we kind of think about it. In fact, it's interesting that the 3 letters constituting Om represent the past, the present, and the future. It represents a lot of other things also. It represents the 3 stages. We'll look into all of that. But just in the context of what we are studying, the 3 letters of Om, which is A, U, and M. Aum represents the past, the present, and the future. How? The past is represented by a prefix. This is also in Sanskrit. The prefix called A. So the At is a prefix that represents the past. Abhavat. Bhavat means what is happening. Abhavat means what is not happening. That means it is gone. So the represents the Bhutakala. Bhavat. Bhutam. Then the present is the most important in our lives. This is what we're really concerned with. What happens in the future, we're not completely sure of. What happened in the past doesn't matter that much. But what is important is today. This is what is called the best or the main, mukhyam. It is also represented by the Sanskrit word utkrishtam. Utkrishtam. Utkrishtam means the best, the main one. That is represented by the letter U. A and U. Then comes the future. And in the future, by the way, before I talk about the future, one thing you should see, you should appreciate that the mantras that we have in the Shastras have 2 aspects to them. So one is the correct meaning. It has some meaningful basis of the mantras. The other one is that the sound is appropriate to the meaning. So the sound of the mantras is as important. So So this becomes important in the future. Just look at it. It is said in the Shastra, this is not my saying it. It is said in the Shastra, some Upanishads, and this was all detailed out by Swami Mahesharanji, that when you think about the future, you're not sure of it. You know what sound you make? Yeah, let me think about it. So the makara represents the future. For one which is past, which is no longer there. U for the Utkrishta, which is the main focus of our life. And which means uncertain. Yeah, I think so. Maybe, that's also interesting. Maybe starts with an ma. Anyways, this is one of the things that is said, that the Omkara is Bhavat Bhavishyatiti Sarvam Omkara. So here, another thing to take a look at this is that we saw earlier that if it is properly defined meaning once you have a word where you infuse it with meaning, like table. So once you properly define table and you accept it as a convention, then the word table and the object table are one and the same. One and the same. So this is called Abhidhana, Abhidheya, Abheda. There's no Bheda. Okay? Similarly, and so another example of that is, another way of looking at it, before I say similarly, is that if you define a necklace, gold necklace, then the necklace, the name necklace, and the object necklace, which is made out of gold, are inseparable. Inseparable. So that is what is exactly Abhidhana Abhidheya. Now, similarly, when you say Bhutam Bhavat Bhavishyatiti, the happenings that occurred in the entire history of the humankind, entire history of everything, not only humankind, is touched by the past time. So there is a content of time called the past time. And every second it is becoming past time. We started here at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is now past time. On this day, this will never come back again. It has become part of the history. 8 o'clock on the whatever it is today, 9th, I guess, no, 10th. 8 o'clock at 10 on the 10th of June is now Bhutakala. And so whatever happened was touched by the Bhutakalam. So there is no difference between what happened and the past time. Just like there is no difference between necklace and gold, there is no difference. You can just do that. This is called history. Gone. Similarly, there is no difference between what you experience and the present time. They are one and the same. And similarly, when something happens later on, there'll be no difference between whatever you experience, whatever, the whole thing, by anyone. By anyone. It's interesting that, really speaking, we all have the same world, but the experiencers are all different. And later on, we'll find out actually very soon that the experiencer also is the same. There's only one person experience, but it appears that they are different experiences. Just this morning when I woke up, I was just having my tea in the morning, and it was so beautiful. The window was open, and all the birds were out there already, much before I got up. And they were all enjoying the sunshine. They were also experiencing the same world as I am. And this is a bird, and she's just worried about getting some food. And there are differences. Doesn't have to pay any mortgage. Just lives on a tree, and not worried about clothing. Should I do washing or something like this? The wings just cover the body. The same wings allow it to fly, and the same wings kind of protect it against the cold. And it's just sitting there somewhere. But really the same experience. When the sun comes up, it woke me up, it woke up the same bird. And we are both having, I don't know what she's doing now. They're busy doing something. We're doing our class. So it's the same world being experienced at all times by different people. And so everything, either bhutam, vartamana, bhavat, or bhavishyat, is really touched by an upadhi called time, and it is part of the experience of the body of Ishvara, which is nothing but Omkara eva. So this is a vritti vakya. This is a vritti vakya, means that it's a slightly more detailed version of sarvam. So when you say sarvam, sarvam means all. You can define sarvam as segmented into 3 segments. So Swami Maheshanji gave this example. He said, what happens is that you have a piece of land, and it's the same land, and then all of a sudden you decide, okay, you draw a boundary, and you say this part belongs to my son, my older son, and I'm bequeathing this land to my older son, and this side I'm bequeathing to my younger daughter, let's say. And now the two of them own their own land. They can do whatever they want, but it's the same land. It's just how you segment it. So similarly here also, we segment it between past, present, and the future. But the whole thing is nothing but Omkara alone. It is just the way you look at it. That may be okay. In the case of the division of the land also, you may say, this is not my land. If you are the male, then say, this is my sister's land. And this is my land. But it's really the same land. Not any difference. It's just how you segment it. So, bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva. Now comes an interesting thing. Yatcha anyat trikalatitam tadapi omkara eva. So he says that here in the English translation, Yatcha anyat trikala atitam, one which is beyond the 3 periods of time, that also is Om alone. The question is, how can anything be, because the past, present, and the future are the 3 times, So how can you have something which is beyond the 3 periods of time? How can that possible? So there the explanation is that one which is not experienced but assumed to be there is also included in all. So, for instance, Swami Maheswaranji gave this example. There's also 3 or 4 beautiful examples of this. Let's suppose there is a theory, and that theory is yet to be proven and yet to be understood. Like, for example, the theory of relativity, the relativity of Einstein. So this was, before that, this was the Newtonian physics. And then so it was a theory that people were still grappling with. There was no real experience, remains the same. But the thinking, the thought was kind of amorphous. There was no time to it. It's just a theory. Then the theory may change. It may change with time, it may not change with time. But it is not really experience, it is just thinking, thoughts. This is one example of Trikalatita. The classical example of Trikalatita is karma and its phalam. Beautiful example. Karma and its phalam. So what happens is that, as we know very well, the karma and the karma phalam are connected in 2 ways. One is called Drishtaphalam and one is called Adrishtaphalam. So Drishtaphalam means immediate, obvious. Adrishtaphalam means subtle, not obvious, but still there. So for example, I've read this example somewhere, really it was very impressive. That you in India, you were going in a crowded bazaar, and there's an old man who is, poor guy, is really walking with a stick, and you can tell he's very old, and he's walking on the edge of the road. And you have these buses who are running at a fast speed and so on and so forth. And this young man saw that the way this bus is going, it might hit this old man. And he is oblivious of it. He's not aware of it. So what he does is, he pushes the old man away from the road, and the old man falls down and actually gets bruised in the process. So this is an example of Drishtaphalam and Adrishtaphalam. Drishtaphalam is that he pushes the old man into the ground and actually injures him. The Adrishtaphalam is that he saved his life. Saved his life. And it's very possible that right on that, the old man will say, "Why'd you do that? What happens? Are you a fool? You made me push and you made me get injured." When the old man realizes what he has done, it might take him some while because he has to grapple with his injuries. But if he finds out that out of his own initiative, this guy saw the bus coming and saved my life, imagine the punya this fellow has. What is so now look at this. Yatcha anyat trikalatītam means there is something which is beyond time. You cannot say that the adrishtaphalam. So drishtaphalam is within time. Drishtaphalam is within time. It happened and so on. Adrishtaphalam is beyond time. You don't know when his punya will come. It may come in the future, it may come right now. And so it is something which is not seen, which is subtle. Really, in summary, whether you see something, whether you don't see something, whether it's a theory, whether it is thoughts, whether it is actions, any kind of possibility of anything is nothing but Omkara. Okay. All right. So this is the summary of the first introduction. Okay. Now this is a initial introduction to the word Omkara. Okay. Now the second verse is an introduction to Brahma and Atma. Brahma and Atma. And so the 12 verses of this very important and very subtle and very difficult to understand Mandukya Upanishad has an introduction to Omkara, an introduction to Brahma, and an introduction to Atma. These are the three main things that it is intended to explain. And it takes 12 verses to complete the introduction, as we will see. So now we see the second verse. Having simply defined Omkara and set it aside for a minute, it goes to another introduction and goes to define Brahma first and Atma the second. And we should do all three of them today to a certain extent, so you'll see how it goes. So then the second verse says, Sarvam hi etat Brahma ayam Atma. Sarvam hi etat Brahma. So let's just break it into Sarvam hi etat Brahma. So etat means this. So this means what you are experiencing. What is in front of you? Our lives, our daily experiences is defined by the word etat. Not only things that you don't know about, those will also be included, but things that you don't know about will also appear to you at one time or the other as etat. So tat becomes etat. Tat means completely unknown. There are things that we don't know about, but they are subject to become etat. And really that's what's important for me. I don't care much about what I don't know, but I care much more about what I'm experiencing. And so really it's not as though the tat and the etat are different. They're not. They're the same. But etat is what I'm really concerned with in my life. So this he says, Sarvam etat Brahma. And now look at it. First it says, the first verse was, Om iti etat aksharamidam sarvam. that really speaking, Omkara, which is this, everything that you see is nothing but Omkara. Now it says, Etat Sarvam Brahma. So clearly what it means is, in this explanation, Omkara is the Abhidhana and Brahma is the Abhidheya. Omkara is the name and Brahma is the object, if you can call it an object. Yes, you can say it's some vastu, something that you are seeing. Sarvam, everything. Cannot say that this one is Brahma and this is non-Brahma. That cannot be. Everything is Brahma alone. And everything is Brahma is Etat. Okay, so this is one thing. Now we come to I am Atma Brahma. I am Atma Brahma means that Brahma which is Etat Sarvam is nothing but you. So, this is the thing. So now, what we find is that most of us that have been exposed to some Hindu way of looking at things, some Vedic way of looking at it, and so on, we know that Ishvara, all this is nothing but Ishvara. We know it. So follow this logic carefully. We kind of feel that, we've come to accept it. That's really everything is nothing but Ishvara. Everything is Brahma. Everything is Brahma. Okay, so whatever is experienced, Ishavasyam idam gum sarvam. Yes, everything is Brahma. I remember my father-in-law used to say that. He said, in Hindi he used to say, Ishwar ke bina patta hilta bhi nahi hai. Means a leaf does not even move without Ishvara. So he had never really studied Vedanta or anything like this, but even a good person like that who is not familiar with the aspects of it, he also knew that everything is nothing but Ishvara. Okay, all right. So this is the sign. Now here comes the key thing. So you ask someone, is everything is Ishvara? He says, yeah, everything is Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. What about you? Oh, no, leave me aside. Leave me aside because, it is too much for me to, it'll be too egotistical if I say I am Ishvara. No, I've got some problems. And so leave me aside. But everything else is Ishvara. Swami Dayanand used to say that. He says, Ishvara must have told his accountant that I have everyone. This is my property except this guy. He has not really owned me up and so on and so forth. So his accountant said, sir, but everybody is saying the same thing. It's not just this one guy. You ask somebody else, are you Ishvara? He said, oh, I am not Ishvara. Everybody else is Ishvara, but I am not. So he said, you have nothing left. You have no property at all because everybody else says that exclude me from it. So here's the situation. It says, so what we find is the way we look at our lives is we only look at things that we experience. We do not adequately say adequately. I added that word adequately because we have some kind of a, yes, I'm experiencing it. Of course I'm experiencing it. So that's obvious, isn't it? But really what I am thinking about is, what is my life all about? Where am I going? What should I do? How can I become more happy? This is what I'm concerned about. I am here, that's for sure. And in the process of doing that, you just ignore it. In other words, there's no inquiry about the I. There's only inquiry about this. About this. So here, an important word is used. It says, I am Atma Brahma. I am Atma Brahma. So here the word I am is interesting. You should see this. For those of you, there are not too many of you, but those of you that are studying Sanskritam, so in the Shankara Bhashya, those of you that are familiar with Sanskrit, I would recommend that you also go through this. Normally in the past I would have done so, but I find many of you don't know Sanskrit very well, and so it became not as effective. But those of you that know Sanskrit, please read Adi Shankara's commentary on this, because Swami Maheshananji follows the Adi Shankara's commentary very well, and we will give you the gist of it. But so here in the introduction to the second verse, in the introduction, in the commentary by Adi Shankara in the second verse, he says, Sarvam hi etat brahma iti sarvam yaduktam Omkara matramiti tad etat brahma tatcha brahma paroksha abhihitam pratyakshataha visheshena nirdishati. I am Atma. This is crucial. Crucial. Let's see how. The word I am Atma is used. So this is what is called Nirdesha. Nirdesha means, and Swami Maheshananji, this is why I value his teaching in how he explains it so that it becomes completely clear. So he says that the word I am requires a body part to point out something. A body part. It doesn't mean this, and I visualized it in a very interesting simile of this. So I just visualized it. So supposing you and your spouse are trying to get a carpet. And you're in a carpet store. And there are many carpets. And there's a salesman who's just, you're just walking around saying which one should we buy, is this the right size? And then the salesman, you ask him, is this a Persian carpet? Is this Indian? What is the price of it? And so on. So if the salesman says, this carpet, this is not clear. You've got hundreds of carpets. So you say, this carpet. this carpet means is not wrong, because there is one carpet that he wants to point out to you. So it's there in the room. So it's not as though that this carpet is not known to you. But supposing he wants to show one carpet for sure. Because, supposing you're asking him, we're looking for not an expensive Persian carpet, but an Indian carpet which is well made, 5 by 7 or 8 by 10, and it should be less than $3,000. So then what he will do is, he will take his finger, or his foot also, he can just touch it and say, this carpet. Generally speaking, he will have his hand and he says, this carpet is the one that you should consider. So this is what is called Ayam Atma, which is directly pointed out. Okay, and it has to be, so this has some implication. I'm not going to complete it until I'm done. Hopefully I'll be done today. And then we will see what is mean by this art. So there's a lot to be said here. This is an important topic. So what happens when you, and this is the specialty of Advaita Vedanta, this is the specialty of the way to teach, the subtlety of this. So many mistakes can be made in this. For example, and this is, by the way, this is an important thing to see. We don't look upon Shastra as a set of books. Then what? We look upon Shastra as Shruti. What do you mean by that? What's the distinction between books and Shruti? Shruti means it is heard by a person, taught by a person. So the Shastra is not looked upon as a set of books. It is, in fact, the Shastra should be in the mind of the teacher. So the Shastra becomes alive. The Shastra is the one that is Shruti, which is showing you this Atma, as we will do later. So for example, take the case of this carpet. So, it won't be very effective for a book to say this carpet. You might be able to say it, the carpet on the left-hand side and this, that, and the other. That is effective. But if the sales rep says, yeah, I know exactly the carpet you want, this carpet, deal done. Ayam Atma. Having said that, now let us look at another aspect. So I don't know how time passes quickly. I need 3 hours to teach, really. So I thought I had enough time, and now anyway, we'll see. So now, another aspect. Going from defining Brahma to defining Atma is to go from Paroksha Jnanam to Aparoksha Jnanam. Paroksha Jnanam to Aparoksha Jnanam. So Paroksha Jnanam means one which is not absolutely direct, as we saw in the example of Denver. Not wrong. So the descriptions of Denver is not wrong. You may actually know pretty well, but it is different than being in Denver. So the definition of Brahma is Paroksha Jnana. And the definition of Atma, when it is properly done by Shruti, not by a text, is Aparoksha Jnana. Let's take an example of that. Beautifully done by Swami Meshanand. Said, take a look at a door. So you look at a door and you think, do you see door exactly as it is? You don't. You say, no, I look at a door, I see it, this is a door. What do you mean? What can there be a mistake about this? This is very clear. No. So what is the door? You are looking at a vastu, an object, which is conditioned by a number of factors. You can use it, the word filter. A filter. Just like, you have a photograph and you have different filters on it. It can be a yellow filter, it can be a red filter, and so on and so forth. It's not exactly what it is, but you're looking through a filter. So when you're looking at a door, first of all, you are using a filter of light. In fact, if there is no light, there is no door. And when there is light, you don't know whether it's ambient light. Is it the tube light? Maybe the door will be different if you look at it from out sunlight. This is what happens these days, all these bulbs that you buy. And my wife is an interior designer and she's very sensitive to that. I sometimes buy these, in fact I've done it, this is an actual experience. I get these nice LED bulbs that are on sale from Home Depot. And I bring home and I put it in, she says, what did you do? This is not warm enough, this is so cold. I says, cold? What? It looks like a light to me. She says, no, it needs to have some yellow in it. So I have to take it back and bring a new one. And then I ask her, why don't you come with me? She says, I don't have the time. You do it yourself, but then I'll tell you whether it is the right one or not. The light is very important for those that are sensitive. So you're not looking at the door, you're really looking at the filtered light falling on the door. This is number one. Then on top of that, there is a paint. You're really not looking at the wood. You're looking at the paint of the wood. That's filter number two. Then the wood has been chiseled. It's not really the wood. It's been kind of like very, smoothened out. That's another filter. Then there is a filter of your eyes. Your eyes may are good, or they may be unfocused, or you may be short, you cannot see very well, and so on and so forth. Then there is a filter of the mind. Immediately when you look at it, and a door may not be that important, but really when we look at people, that's a better example, really, because we have here this is kind of like a neutral. Unless you are looking for a door, then it's no longer neutral, you are concerned with it. But people, let's look at people. how you look at people depends on all these filters, and there the mind comes in. Your own samskaras. Some people, you look at them and you don't like them. Hey, what is the fellow done? But you have a certain bias based on your own experiences. You look at it a person slightly differently. So anyway, we can go on. So all these things that you see are filtered. Everything that you see is filtered. Everything is conditioned. Everything is conditioned. Now, look at yourself. Just think about yourself. Not anyone else, but just yourself. You will find that yourself, you are the only thing in the whole creation which you are looking at unfiltered. But you never look at yourself unfiltered in thinking about yourself. You do not appreciate it. How is it that we look at ourselves unfiltered? Just look at it. Supposing you are lying down and it's pitch dark. And someone says, "Are you there?" You don't say, "I am not sure," because there is no light. Don't say that. Let us say it. Light cannot filter your existence. No one can say, "Are you alive?" You don't say, "Let me feel my pulse." You can feel somebody else's pulse. But to be the conscious entity, you don't need a pulse. You don't need a light. You don't even need a mind. You don't say, "Let me think about it." In fact, there is no mind when you are asleep. You don't base your conclusion whether you're alive or dead by the presence of the mind. Unfiltered. Unfiltered by anything else. You are self-existing, self-luminous, unfiltered, not conditioned by anything. Just think about it.
this is the aparoksha jnana. And you, the Atma, is nothing but Brahman. In fact, you are Brahman. It is not as though you are a Jivatma, even though you think you are a Jivatma. You are Paramatma. Why you are your Paramatma? Because you are the only thing which is self-existing. Just think about it. Everything else around you is conditioned. But you are unconditioned. And it's not anyone else but you. I am Atma. Sarvam hi etat Brahma. I am Atma Brahma. There is no Brahma which is not you. You, in fact, are always there when whatever your life's experience is. Just think about it. Just like the gold is always there in any ornaments. All your experiences involve you. Just think about it. We miss it. I don't even pay any attention to the unconditioned, unfiltered I. The unfiltered I is always there, either with the anatma or without the anatma. In all your experiences, if you shift your attention from the experienced to the experiencer, you're done. You're free. Because you never disappear. Never. You're not conditioned by, you're not filtered by time. See, that's perhaps the most important thing. Your body may be filtered by bhutam bhavishyat bhavat, but you are not conditioned by time. You are not filtered by time. You are independent. So the whole Brahma, which is aparoksha jnana, which is everything, is nothing. Which is paroksha jnanam, which is everything, is aparoksha jnanam, which is you. And this can only be pointed out by a life teacher through whom the whole Shruti becomes clear. Cannot be done any other way. Everything else is paroksha jnana. Yes, you can read about it as a paroksha jnana. and all kinds of mistakes can come in. So, because another thing to look at it, this is an important thing to see, that in the bookish knowledge and so on, it can be that right now you are not Brahman. But if you clean up your mind, you will become Brahman. If you purify your mind, you will become Brahman. Right now you're not, because it's very clear. We agree with you. You have a low opinion about yourself, and we also agree with it. Yeah, you are kind of a miserable person. But this miserable person, if you do some pujas and stuff like this and give a lot of dhanam to others, and you keep on doing upavasa, all these fasts and so on, you'll become a better person in the future. You may become Brahman, maybe sometime in the future. This kind of bookish knowledge can be there. But to say that you will become Brahman. You are Brahman. Now, can only be done through Shruti, through teaching. This is what is called Nirdesha. Nirdesha means, why I flag this finger, that you, as you are today, just appreciate it. You're unconditioned, unfiltered. Your definition, don't you see that as the conscious entity? You are there without any condition, without any light, without a mind, without the sense organs, without any instruments. You don't need an instrument to see whether you are there or not. All other things, including your own body, mind, yes, you need. Is the body functioning? Yes, you need a lot of instruments. Everything else you need a lot of confirmation. But you don't need a confirmation. Appreciate this. So, these two verses, which begin with Omkara Eva, which is the Abhidhanam, then move on to Abhidheya, which is Brahman, then move to you. Because our focus is totally wrong. Our focus is on my experiences. I better have a good experience. And you fail to recognize the beauty of the experience, that it is free already. It is unconditioned. It is not defined by anything. There's no filter in it. It's the only thing which is unfiltered. Only one thing which is unfiltered in the whole creation. It is you. Then it opens with an introduction to a confirmation of this fact that I am unfiltered. Saha ayamatma chatushpad. So this is how the Shrutis, most of the Shrutis proceed. That it gives you an idea, but it gives you an opening which it will now expand in the next few verses. So this we will see next time. Saha ayam atma chatushpat. That we will see next time. So we'll close with that. We'll go next week. Om Swasti
Prajapya Paripalayanta Jnanena Madhena Mahi Mahisha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhinau Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyaha Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Shobharahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirmayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkhapag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityur Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Have some flyers for Swamiji's visit here. If you want to take some and post it, you can come up.
No time for question.
But on a class like this, there should be no questions.